Welcome to highlights of Henley Royal Regatta. It's finals day and this is what it's all been about. Since Tuesday, 419 crews have been whittled down to 52. They've braved the British weather, they've battled through the heats, and now they've got their eyes on the silverware. So let's not waste any more time and join our commentators for some of the most nail-biting moments from the morning session.
Attention! Go!
And we are away in the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy, St Catherine's School, Australia, against Winter Park Crew, United States of America.
This could be the biggest test that either of these crews have faced it throughout their seasons. They have been undefeated. They have faced everything that their countries could offer. They have faced everything that this draw could offer. And now St Catherine's School is facing a Winter Park Crew for the honour of winning the Prince Philip Challenge Trophy.
These girls are just absolutely ferocious. Look at the way they lock in and absolutely throw their body weight onto it, sitting back together, stroked by Bronte Cullen, rather, one of the captains of boat at St Catherine's School, Australia. Maybe just with a canvas lead over Winter Park Crew, United States of America.
Unbelievable aggression out the start, both of these crews. Here we see this Winter Park Crew. They came and they qualified. They were so impressive in qualifying. It was obvious they needed to then be one of the selected crews, and they have not only beaten Henley yesterday with half a length, they beat Headington, last year's winners as well. But now they come across St Catherine's School, who beat Surbiton, last year's runner-ups, by 2 lengths yesterday, and they were fast out of the blocks yesterday, and they're doing exactly the same. And they have just increased the rate in the St Catherine's School. They know they have to go for home. They know they were under pressure from Winter Park Crew. They are throwing everything. They can sense each other. A few heads looked either way there, but that absolute dominance from the stroke guard, Bronte Cullen, she is not giving up. She is fighting for every stroke, leading her crew, leading the rate up, as both of these crews now know that they're going to have to start to think about winding for home.
Welcome to those joining us on the broadcast from Australia and the USA. What a matchup we have here for you in the Prince Philip Challenge Cup. Oz versus USA, two of the best junior women's eights in the world. In the crew from Winter Park, Delaney Gardner-Coxing, Paige Perrott stroking, Susie Mallon, Riley Harris, Hannah Hill, Ashley Perrott, Kate Miller, Ava May, and Zoe DeFeo. I think maybe they've come back on St Cat's a little bit here. Kath, what do you think?
Yeah, they are definitely, there's overlap, isn't there? There is fighting, there's a sense of that rising roar they're getting now. They're into the first part of the enclosures. It's who's got what's left, what was the winter training like, how much of those ergs paid off. But there is no let-up in the aggression from that St Catherine's School.
St Cat's driving down past Stewards, they're coming to the line. The lead is with St Cat's of Australia, undefeated domestically in Australia this season. They've come out to prove that they are the best schoolgirl junior women's eight in the world. They're coming down to the line. St Cat's leading Winter Park Crew, United States of America.
Utterly dominant. A length to St Catherine's School from Australia. Two undefeated crews. St Catherine's School, Australia beating the Winter Park Crew.
At the start line now of the WARGRAVE Challenge Cup, the club women's eight, Thames Rowing Club A and Leander Club.
Look at that start there for both these women's eights. This is a direct repeat of last year's final. In the WARGRAVE, Thames Rowing Club back with 7 of the 9 finalists from last year, so they are going to be looking to put out an early marker against the Leander crew, who are holders of this event.
Great start there from both crews. Leander on closest on screen to us, Thames Rowing Club in the Barks station up at the top of the screen, perhaps with just an early race lead here out of the start. Great shot there, looking along the bow of the Thames crew, currently leading the WARGRAVE Challenge Cup, only in its second year. Hotly contested event. We saw 3 crews from Australia here, all falling to the wayside through the week. As we move now to the crew from Leander, looking at the bow there of Amy Gibson, in front of her Ruth Taylor, Oh, rather, sorry. That's India Summerside. Getting my crews mixed up there. Frances Hunt-Davis in the 2 seat in front of her. Presumably the daughter of one of our fellow stewards, Ben Hunt-Davis.
I believe so. Yeah, impressive athletes here in this crew from Leander as well. You know, they're young athletes, they're up-and-comers. These are going to be women that you'll be seeing probably in our national team over the next few years. But I think today it is going to be for Thames, joining the rank of some of their men's crews who've also been dominating the club events. But these women have really led from start to finish, and a late charge from Leander here I don't think is going to be enough to get them in front of that bow of the Thames Rowing Club boat.
You're right, Zoe, it's going to be 2 apiece for Thames. The men taking out the Brit earlier in the day, coming across the line now. It is Thames Rowing Club taking out the Wargrave, making up for last year, defeating Leander. What a dominant row. Incredible performance from this crew all week, stepping up day on day. Thames Rowing Club A, victors in the Wargrave Challenge Cup.
This is the Stewards Challenge Cup. It's the Open Men's Coxless Fours. We have Oxford Brookes and Leander representing Great Britain, and Rowing Australia representing Australia closest to the camera.
Sharper start from Australia there, getting a few more strokes in early, but also a little bit of trouble steering, just heading back over now to their station early on. But I think they've jumped out early on that crew from Oxford Brookes and Leander. There we can see that Australian crew really strong, moving in time as they come out of their start sequence.
Yeah, a little bit of a warning, a little bit of a glance on the steering. Australia steer away from Great Britain, and, well, there's a lot of experience in this Australian crew. 3 of the 4 of them won gold in Tokyo, and in comes Jack O'Brien in the stroke seat from the 8 that was 6th in Tokyo. So I guess you'd expect them to have a bit of an advantage. My goodness, look at that. They really got the jump. You called it spot on, Zoe.
Yeah, I think they are the form crew, as you said. You know, they've got that Olympic champion experience. This British crew, by comparison, sort of the 3rd ranked sweep crew in the team. Matt Aldridge has come in after winning GB trials in the pair and racing in the pair. But you can see that actually looks like the crew from Rowing Australia has just started to stretch out onto their lower race pace, whereas the crew from Brookes and Leander are continuing to hold it quite high and maybe pushing back now a little bit onto this Australian crew.
A little bit of steering from the British crew on the right of our picture, preparing for the final stage. I think just from the indicator I can see they've gained a quarter of a length probably in the last minute or so of this race, and now...
Unbelievable race here from the Brits. I think on the form book, the Australians should have had it easy here, but this British crew from Brookes and Leander have not read that form book, and they look like they are charging again now. Have they left it too late to get back through?
10 strokes to go, the home crowds at their feet in the Stewards enclosure. Finals day at Henley Royal Regatta. Australia, Great Britain. We've seen it before in the Coxless Fours. Leander are going hard. The Australians looking a bit ragged on the line. Who's it going to be? Whoa!
That looked like a dead heat to me, Matt.
Well, we're going to have to look at the photograph. For me, I think the Australians may have it by 10 centimetres, but it's always dangerous to call in the heat of the moment. Let's have a look.
Looks like the Australians got it on the surge.
Wow, that is literally, as you say, the surge, just the randomness of whether the boat is coming off the finish and surging or slowing towards the catch. It's the Visitors Challenge Cup final, the 175th year. It's University of Washington on the left of our picture and Tideway Scullers and Molesey on the right. They go away straight, they go away cleanly. You can see the flat water, mirror-like conditions here at the start.
Yep, but there we have it, that Tideway Scullers and Molesey crew just creeping out into the middle of the river. This is a crew that is a presumptive under-23 crew for Great Britain, not yet named, but they are up against a crew from the University of Washington that are around half of their first V crew. Now, these fours have been posting pretty similar times all week, so I think it is going to be neck and neck down the course here, as it looks here, moving away from the island.
Yeah, cracking start to what could be an absolutely cracking race. The Scullers and Molesey crew nearest us had a little bit of a challenged with their steering yesterday when they were racing against the Oxford University B crew. But to get here, they beat Munster, they beat Oxford A, they beat Oxford B, and here they are in the final facing Washington on the far side, who rolled over 2 Dutch crews and then Thames and Leander yesterday to book their spot here on Henley Sunday. It's finals day. It's the Visitors Challenge Cup for intermediate men, and at the moment it really is hard to call. I think it's stroke for stroke. We're approaching the mile and 1/8. That's 108,011 metres down the track. Molesey and Scullers still have their nose in front. Have they stretched it out towards half a length? We're looking there at the back of Harry Geffen, then Calvin Tarzi, Miles Beeson and the stroke Dow de Graaf, as they are again warmed by umpire Batten in her distinctive Thames Rowing Club summer uniform there. Again, a bit of expensive steering. That brake goes on to get them away, back off the centre line of the course.
Yeah, that bow steers from Mattis Holler in the Washington crew. Looks like they've had an easier ride of this. And is that going to mean that as they come into the end of this race, they have a little bit extra to give? There you see them, University of Washington, raising that rate. You can see the eyes there of the Husky on the back of their boat. And it is coming now for that British crew.
So we've got another cracker on our hands. The Washington crew looking across Logan Ulrich in the 3-seat, glances across again at Sideways Scullers and Molesey, who are sprinting for the line. It's a sprint for both crews. The legs are burning, the lungs are bursting. You've got to get the oars in the water as many times as you can. It's going to be close. Pull out that photo finish camera. Whoa. Washington think they've got it. I think they probably had it by another foot, maybe. They are absolutely exuberant. Whoa! Going for a little bit of a swim there. Gert van Dorn, be careful. Don't want anybody in the water there.
All the boats coming together hard there.
Coming together on the line. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah, that's a clear win for the University of Washington, and they knew it.
It's lunchtime. We've already crowned 13 new champions. Thankfully, the wind and the rain that plagued the semi-finals has stayed away. The pleasure craft are out in force on this iconic stretch of the River Thames. But back to business now, and here are some of the close encounters from the afternoon session.
So it's the final of the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup. Radley College on the Berkshire side of the course at the top of your picture. St Paul's School on this side nearest to the island. They jumped on it, St Paul's, didn't they, Mark?
Straight off the, yeah, they've had some really interesting races this week where some have gone out like a bat. They've really leapt off the blocks, where yesterday there was kind of calm about their racing as they kind of rode through King's Wimbledon. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out as they kind of move through the island.
Alp Karadogan, the tall lad in the middle of the St Paul's boat, is just a 15-year-old. He is a J15. I think he's the first J15 to row in a St Paul's 8. Bobby Thatcher's put him there. He has great faith in him. And so far, that faith has been justified throughout this regatta. Bobby talked to him before this race. He said, my guys are improving every single race of the regatta. They've got better and better. They keep on surprising me. Will it be just one more surprise for the guys from St Paul's? So St Paul's crew on that far side of the course finished in 6th place in the National Schools Regatta. Wasn't the best of regattas for Bobby Thatcher. Thought he was on a bad lane, undone by the wind maybe, but they have the narrowest of leads. It's about 1/3 of a length of canvas coming through to the finish. I look up and see St Paul's now. They're running out of water, Radley, but they're charging. St Paul's coming to the finish line. There's about 3 strokes left. Radley charging. Here they come. St Paul's, they take the Princess Elizabeth Challenge Cup from Radley College Boat Club. Just, and the screams you can hear. Absolute madness. James Trotman, the cox, hands in the air. A sensational win for St Paul's. Splash in the water.
That is incredible. You talked about how young that crew is. We're going to see them back here next year and the year after. Some of those athletes are J16 and below, so that is incredible. Just the gutsiness they had, the way they raced, there was just no fear there at all.
The Grand Challenge Cup on the start line. Oxford Brookes University and Leander Club on the Berkshire Station, and Rowing Australia on the Buckinghamshire Station, the oldest event at this regatta, and a showdown for the ages between Great Britain and Australia.
Yeah, and it's brilliant watching these two crews getting off the start like two locomotives, just chugging into action. They didn't throw themselves at it. There was just a surge, and the pistons of the legs started going down quicker and quicker. Now they're up to full length, coming through about 10 strokes. The Australian crew we can see here throwing everything at it alongside the British. Bow ball to bow ball, top of the island.
Well, this is going to be a sensational matchup here. Rowing Australia were the record holders in this event. They set that in 2018. A very different crew here coming to Henley Royal Regatta. But the Brits are just looking to extend out this lead in their sort of step down onto pace. Tom Ford in the stroke seat for the British crew. We're now looking at the 8 men from Australia, plus their Cox, Kendall Brodie, who will be guiding them through the next stages.
Yeah, well, we look at this crew. 5 of the crew making their senior debut in Poznan, coming to Europe now to race for the Australian national team. You can see the British are starting to slip away, starting to establish a lead, looking at their blade work and looking pretty tidy. And I think there'll be no let-up from the British 8 either. They want to use this opportunity to go and race again and again, build that confidence. As you say, it's a new combination. Lovely to see all the different outfits, all the different club colours on display on the Henley course. They'll blend that together into the Great Britain 8, and this is another step in the learning. It's one that they'll put into their memory banks about how they felt passing the progress board, passing the grandstand at Henley Royal Regatta 2022.
This crew littered with former Henley winners, but nothing like winning the Grand Challenge Cup for elite Open 8, and that's going to be a huge, huge celebration. For the first time in 7 years, a British squad crew winning the Grand Challenge Cup ahead of Rowing Australia by clear water. What an absolutely phenomenal performance there. McDonald and McIntosh, New Zealand in the black. Ollie and Griffiths, Tom George in the silver goblets on the top of your screen. Quite clean start, would expect this. These are 2 of the very fastest pairs in the entire world. And the Kiwi pair, as I say that, have veered slightly across to Berkshire. They'll be getting warned to move back, please, back to your booking station. That's slightly pushed the Cambridge pair over as well.
It's always a really deceptive, because they actually, although the line is really straight on the course, the land moves away from you, so it's very common for crews to start moving towards where the land's taking you. Like you said, these are 2 of the best pairs in the world. Between them, one's won the first World Cup, the other's won the second World Cup, and this is very exciting, and what a privilege for us to watch them come together to see who might take the title today.
Exactly, Catherine. This is an absolute spectacle you're watching right now. 2 of the fastest pairs in the world from either end of the world, and they're here on this Henley course going to battle it out, this gladiatorial stretch of water, and the Cambridge pair have taken the lead. Ollie Griffiths, Tom George have slipped half a length on this much favoured, very fast New Zealand pair.
Yeah, that's going to be slightly uncomfortable for that New Zealand pair. You know, I don't think anyone was expecting a move, especially so close to the start, suddenly to be able to move out half a length. And both pairs, you can see both pairs still very high rate, still very much, you know, driving out that start, still at very intense level. They haven't settled yet. And even within that intensity, the Cambridge pair has moved out on them by about half a length. It's a very impressive start.
And they've not let them get away. This is like a 6-lane race where really it is neck and neck most of the way down the course. These crews are used to that. You see anyone not getting flustered from being down, it's going to be these professional athletes you're seeing right now. And the Kiwis look like they've just taken their striker rating up, and they are moving back on the Cambridge pair.
Yeah, it does it that they've made us move. And it's always the interesting bit, when you get a start like that Cambridge pair got, you know, can you hold on to it? But the Kiwis, as we expect them to be very strong in this race, but they have done a move that you don't often see in the middle of the course. It's still, you know, still a long way to go, but they've lifted the rate a bit like we saw with the Oxford Brookes crew in the race before. They've sort of done this move that mentally will do some real damage to that Cambridge pair. It's really going to be on them how they respond, because once you've got a lead, you want to consolidate that lead and get comfortable, and suddenly you've got this New Zealand pair powering up next to you and alongside you, and it's going to be what both crews can do next.
You see the bow shot there, the New Zealand pair, all black colour, and they have absolutely ripped it through the Cambridge pair. Brilliant start by both boats, but that killer blow is so hard to do through the middle of a race. Really opened up this lead, but great shots there. Ollie Wingers' bow seat, still looking calm and relaxed. Can they respond? Because you can move in these smaller boats.
You can. What I was impressed with, when you looked at it from the bow end of the boat, the New Zealand pair is running very, very smooth. There's very little lift and drop to that bow ball, whereas the Cambridge boat were bouncing it a bit more. So that New Zealand pair is going to have a much more efficient stroke as they come into these last few metres.
Here they come. They're coming down towards the finish line. A little across from Tom George's stroke seat. Take the race up, Tom. What have you got left? But it's not going to be enough as the New Zealand pair, the Wairiki Rowing Club, cross the line to take the famous Silver Goblets and Nichols Challenge Cup.
Well, sadly, that is it from Henley Royal Regatta 2022. It's been a historic year. Great to see all the enclosures back to their pre-pandemic bustling best. We've had a record number of entries, including a whole host of overseas Olympians. There's also been some outstanding junior performances and, for the first time, spread over 6 days. It's going to be hard to beat, but we'll see what 2023 brings. We'll be back then. I hope you can join us. Meanwhile, the celebrations will be continuing here. But thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.